Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. I had to come back and try again. I was online before, and somebody hinted me that the network was messed up. So I had to, just log out and turn off everything and do a massive reset. I have had that a lot of people have been having issues with going on live on Facebook lately. But I didn't know it was this bad until somebody told me something was wrong with my connection. So please give me a thumb up if you can hear me properly now and you can see me and everything is good. So I know I'm communicating. Just let me have a sign that the connection is good. Let me have a sign if you're watching. Good evening. I hope you all had a good day like I did. Hey, thank you. But that's so crazy. The funny thing is I don't even know who that is. Hey. Okay. Hi. Good evening. Now I see you. Thank you. Okay. So I was going to talk about the fact that life is a journey and not a race. There is no reason for anybody to try to outdo somebody else in life. Life is exactly what you make out of it. So if you decide to make your life a struggle, then life is going to be just a very, very terrible time of struggling for you. And if you realize it early, like I did, that you don't need to live your life for anybody or anybody else's life, then life could be very, very pleasant. Because one thing I have realized is that our happiness is in nobody else's hands. We are happy if we decide to be happy. God has created every human being to have control over their emotions. But oftentimes, because we are open to pressure, we are open to outside factors, a lot of times, a lot of people do not have control over their emotions. You will get heartbroken, you get sad, you get depressed only because you let it happen. But another emotion that I see people struggling with is jealousy and, envy and, just genuinely hoping and wishing there could be somebody else. And that is when I say people need to realize that life is a one-time thing. You don't get a second chance in life to live life. So if you live your life and you live it based on somebody else's standard or trying to outdo somebody else, then you're going to be wasting the precious life that God has given to you. And why did I come to this topic today? This past week, we lost somebody, close to the family. And I just had a dark moment. It was quite brief because, obviously somebody died. And I thought about, experiences and, things that have happened in the past. And I just couldn't stop wondering how people would feel if only they knew when they were going to die. How people would probably do things differently, how people would, take the moments they have to do things differently if only they knew that they were going to die or when they were going to die. But, that is something that nature has not given to us. We never can predict when we're going to die. Nobody knows when they're going to die. The only thing we know is the moment we live and the past. So if you know the past, you know how your past has been, then you have control over your moment, the moment when you're living now. So for me, I am a believer of second chances while we are alive. But you cannot have a second chance to life if you're busy competing with your brother or with your sister or with your friend or with your neighbor. I had a story, not too long ago when somebody told me, They had friends. I mean, I don't call those friends. Those are frenemies. They had friends that were so jealous that if the tailor should make clothes for them, they will be angry with the tailor because their clothes fitted them better than what the tailor made for the other person. So this other person would be angry with the tailor because the clothes she made for her probably fits her lesser than it fits the other friend. And I'm thinking to myself, if you are living your life like that, because what that means is you are bothered about what your friend looks like. You're bothered about your friend looking better than you, or being prettier than you, or that our clothing are fitting her better. Then you're bothered about, improving on yourself, making yourself a better person. And the fact that people live like that, for me, it's unbelievable, to an extent. And maybe that's why I just float around, situations and people think I don't care. I do care, I care, but only to a limit. Because I have come to the realization that my life is my life. My path has been stretched out ahead of me. And that's why God gave me the characters I have. And this applies to everybody. We were all made differently. We were all made in different ways, with different characters, with different, parents. And even if you have the same parents, your DNA is not 100% the same with your siblings. That means you have characteristics that your siblings would not have. That means your brain cells are put together differently than that on those of your siblings. So there shouldn't be any form of competition at all in life with somebody else about their lives. Because if I am fasting, getting things done, if I am faster in, reaching my goal, who says we have to finish at the same time? Who says we have to, attain the same heights? What makes me happy is not going to make you happy. And even if what makes me happy is what makes you happy, we're going to have to go different routes because we are two different people. It is a simple fact to me and to a lot of other people, but I have come to the realization that some people are stuck in their lives because they are too bothered about how somebody else is, succeeding. They are so bothered about finishing before somebody else. The question on my tongue now is, if you want to finish ahead of me, then you probably want to die ahead of me too. If you're older than me, I might not even be bothered. But if you're not older than somebody else's success shouldn't even be, a thing to compete with. Even if you're older than the person. Because sometimes you see younger people that succeed earlier, faster, easier than older people. But that is because they are different people and their roots have been laid down in front of them differently. Some people will just start up a business and the business will be successful without any hinge. And some will start up the same business and they will have to struggle over and over and over. That's probably because the business you're going into is not yours. It's not what fits your lifestyle or your characteristics or the talent that God has given to you doesn't tally with the business you've gotten yourself into because you probably want to copy somebody else. The same thing goes to relationship. I hear people are competing with their friends or their family members on relationships. Okay, who gets married first? Who has the babies first? who sets up a house first, who buys a home first. Come on. Are you going to compete about who dies first too? Life is what you make of it. Your life is going to, stretch out the way you make of it. As you lay your bed, so you're going to lie on it. You don't know what I have to do to be me. You don't know what I go through to be me. You don't know what I have to go through to keep the smile on my face. You don't know what my worries are if I don't tell you. You don't know what my struggles are. So why would you be bothered about my success? You don't worry with me when I fail because you don't get interested in my failures. So why should people worry about my successes? Why should people want to now compete with how far I come in life when you have your life? And what people do not understand is the moment you are competing with somebody, you're living your own life unnurtured. Hey babes, what's up? Nice coming on as well. The moment you live your life to start worrying about somebody else, how fast they are in getting married, how many babies they have made before you start, how many job offers they get before you, then you live your life unnurtured. The time you're supposed to be using to develop yourself, you're using it to worry about how fast somebody has gone. Are you going to die before me too? If that is your worries. But you don't ever see anybody worry about who dies first. You don't see anybody get jealous about who they bury first. You want to outlive people, but you want to outrun them too. I'm tired. I don't know why. I don't understand why. When people see other people do things, then they go and start up the same thing. Maybe they don't have the talent for it. They just want to outdo you. Maybe they don't even know what it is about that you're doing. The moment they see that somebody is doing well, they see the smile on your face, they do not know your struggles. But yet they want to compete with your successes. If you want to compete with somebody's, success, then you're living your own life because you're not living the life you're meant to live if you only want a copycat. And what happens to a copycat? A copycat will never be original. And I think this is so sad because a lot of people will not develop their own talents because they are too busy trying. Please do, Bosse, just share, please do. They are trying to live somebody else's life. They are trying to outdo somebody else. They are trying to compete with somebody else. There was a party I went to recently and somebody said, look at this person. I don't even know what's wrong with her. Is she the only one on the dance floor? Just only by looking at somebody dancing on a floor that is open to everybody. Nobody is stopping you from joining the dance. This person was just doing a dance and being happy, and people were hungry. And they were, giving critical comments about what's wrong with her. Why does she think she's the only one? She did not say don't dance. She did not say this dance floor is mine alone. What people do not understand is when you do things like this, you make some very, very bad enzymes and hormones. The kind of hormones that causes heart attack and stroke and aneurysm. Because people doing their own thing, somebody dancing at a party that is not being bothered about you, the person did not step on your toes, but because you just dislike the fact that she's attractive and people are looking at her and she's friendly, others like her, and nobody is talking to you because you just look like you're angry with everybody, and you're like, what's wrong with this person? Is she the only one? If you try to outrun anybody, you might outdie them too. If you're too busy, worried about who is finishing before you, who is making the first million before you, or who is more successful than you, then you will outdie the person. When I say outdie, you will die before the person as well. So if you keep outrunning somebody, be ready to die before them too. Everybody has a path. You have a path that is laid down ahead of you. Follow your path. Let somebody go past you. You don't know if they're going to die before you too. And even if they don't die before you, you don't know how they have chosen their own destiny. Why is this so common among us Black people? Why is that an issue? I still try to understand where this is coming from. A friend of mine said to me, maybe it's because of peer group pressure, family, tradition, culture. I said, please, fuck it, please. Because if you're still in a situation where you're eating and living under your parents and they're pressurizing you as an adult, then you need to do something about your life. Then you need to make sure you go away from under your parents so that they stop pressurizing you, so that you don't go and start trying things out that you're not supposed to try out. We were made differently. Our DNAs are different. Our paths are written out differently. So there shouldn't be any pressure to outdo somebody else. And if there are people that are pressurizing you, you have to make sure you leave those people, depart from those people, isolate yourself away from those people, because those people will pressurize you to your death. You will die earlier than you were supposed to. Life is simple. It's as simple as you make it. As you lay your bed, so you're going to lie on it. If you see your neighbor shining, if you see your neighbor succeeding, if you see your neighbor being happy, or you see her or him wear a smile, there is no reason to compete. If you think you want to know what her secret or his secret is, there is nothing wrong in asking what the secret to her beauty is. What is the secret to her smile? Why and how come is she always happy? There's nothing wrong in going to meet somebody and say, please show me the way. I'm a very, very sad human being, and I see that you are very happy. I see you having smiles on every time. How come you are so happy? Instead of carrying rumors about them, instead of hating for no reasons, instead of saying negative things about them for no reasons, you can just ask. And if you're too shy to ask, then just let it be. Do not worry about somebody else's success. Go after your success. Life is laid out in front of you for you to make use of everything along the way. But if you're too busy worrying about somebody else's success, you will neglect your own development. Please share this video, because I think it is high time that we need to speak the truth to ourselves. You see people going into criminality. You see people doing immoral things just because they want to compete. They go and commit crime and then go to jail just because they want to compete. You see your neighbor driving a Mercedes Benz. You don't know where your neighbor got the Mercedes Benz from or the money to buy the Mercedes Benz. You go and start doing crime because you want to buy a Mercedes Benz. You're going to go to jail, and your neighbor is going to keep on doing what it is he's been doing to fetch him money. Life is not a race. We were not born at the same seconds into this world. So there is no how that our paths would be the same. What I am good at, it doesn't mean you have to be good at it. What you do well, it doesn't mean I have to do it well. What you're bad at, it doesn't mean I have to be bad at it. You and I are not the same people. In as much as a baby comes out of the vagina once at a time, two babies cannot come out at the same time. That is enough to show you that two people cannot have the same path in life. God created the private part of a woman to only accommodate a child at a time. So when the baby's head is coming out of the vagina, only one can come at a time. Even if there are triplets or, quadruplets or whatever, even if there are going to be 6 babies born, they will come out once at a time. As much as that rule still applies to the world and the life we live, then people should understand that you and I cannot have the same part. We cannot live the same way. We cannot attain successes at the same time. We cannot have failures at the same time. So you need to live your life and let somebody else live theirs. In as long as you keep worrying about somebody else and what they are doing in their life, you are going to live your own lives unnurtured. You are going to be torturing yourself about how beautiful somebody is. It beats me. You're going to be torturing yourself about how come the person got married before you. Marriage is not a competition. You're going to be worried about how come the person got a job before you. Instead of you to use the time to go and start looking for a job for yourself, you're going to go out and go and start condemning somebody that is doing their own thing. Somebody that is just doing their own thing, working on their own successes, working on their own private issues for no reason. But while you do that, you forget you are only living your own life unlived. You're living your own life undeveloped. Every second of the day is very important. Every minute of the day is very important. Please give me thumb ups if you think I'm saying the real thing here. And if you think I'm speaking quatsch. In German, quatsch means nonsense. Let me know. Give me a thumb down too. You're free to join into the conversation, because it baffles me that in this present time, in the 21st century, people can still be hating somebody else for doing nothing that bothers them. For a grown woman, somebody with children, to be making comments like, yeah, why is she the only one that is so attractive? I'm like, oh my God. You people were not even born of the same parents. So maybe you have rivalry, siblings rivalry. We're talking about 2 different grown-ups. We're talking about somebody that has nothing to do with you. Family-wise, this is somebody you just know, used to be friends. And this person said, you know what, I don't want to be your friend again because you're too negative. And then you go into competition. If the person buys a pair of shoes, you want to buy the same shoe. If this person buys a pair of bag, you want to buy the same bag. If the person wears yellow today, you want to copy because you want to outdo the person. This is an example of why people die earlier than they were supposed to die. There are too many things to be worried about in this world. I can make a list of things that bothers me. One thing that will not make my list is how somebody else is living their life. Is how my neighbor is partying every day or being happy in every day. I can make a list of 1,000,000 things that bothers me. But in my list, you will never find anything that has to do with somebody else. Call me selfish, but somebody else's life should not bother us. How the person live his or her life should not be an issue for us. We all have different paths set out before us. Our aim in life might be the same. We may all have the same aim in life. Our goals might be the same. My goal might be to be a very popular person. And that might be somebody else's goal too. But the path we are going to walk to become popular, going to be 2 different paths. Because my characteristic is different from the other person. Me being popular doesn't stop you from being popular. Mason is also popular. That's a serial killer. He walked another path to be popular. Oprah Winfrey is a popular person. She walked another path to be popular. Steve Jobs was popular, but he had another path to be popular. Beyonce is popular, but she went another way to be popular than Oprah did. So if you are trying to be popular the way I want to be popular, then you're going to be trying to live my life, living yours. That's just an example. That's the same way you have siblings that are envious and jealous of themselves. Siblings from the same father, the same mother. And they cannot stand themselves just because the other one thinks the other one is more successful, or is faster at getting married, or is faster at getting a degree, or is faster at making the first million they made, or is in a more comfortable life. But the way if you keep worrying about that, you're going to probably die earlier than the sibling that you're worried about. Because you are creating bad hormones. You're giving your heart issues. You're giving your liver aches. You're making your body uncomfortable at somebody else's success, at the attitude that doesn't concern you. You're worried about how somebody else walks, how they eat, how they sleep. You're using paracetamol for somebody else's headache. So tell me how you want to live long. Tell me how you want to have time to enjoy life your own way. And this is what we see happening. And people there's been a survey. Young people are dying early now. And they just die of heart attack. They die of stroke. They die of aneurysm. And people are wondering why. The youth mortality in the past 5 years is very high now. I'm not a scientist, but common sense tells me that the rate at which young people are competing right now for success without work, young people are competing with themselves to be successful without wanting to work. So they will go and get themselves involved in a lot of things that people back in the days would not do. Of course, when you are worrying about how to become millionaires without doing proper work to become millionaires, you may die early. Because while you're walking around, going around, putting your nose where you're not supposed to put your nose, when you're supposed to be working at thinking on, okay, what can I do to make myself a better person? You're going to ritualists, you're going to herbalists, you're going to fake pastors, imams, you're going to put your nose where your forefathers did not even go to. You're going to go and do rituals, you're going to go and join secret cults just because you want to become rich earlier than your neighbor, or you want to become richer than your friend, or you want to become richer than your siblings. Then of course younger people will die. Then younger people will die earlier than the older people. Because the older people, they have accepted their fate. And a lot of them believe in working hard to get results. But the youth of nowadays, they are too much in a hurry. There is too much competition going on. Competition that nobody has put up for them. They start up a competition in life for themselves. They want to outdo the next person. They want to be there before the next person. They want to have breakthrough before the other person. Live your life. Life is not a race. It's not a matter of who finishes first. And if you want to finish first, go ahead, because the person that finishes first will die first. It's not a race. It's not a matter of I want to finish before you. If you're so bent on finishing before somebody else in a race that is not stipulated, then you're probably going to die before the person. Because you're going to be hurrying and hurrying where nobody is running after you. You're going to be competing with somebody that does not even see you. And any good thing that the person you're competing with is doing is going to be giving you heartache. The more heartache you have, the more chances you have at getting an heart attack. The closer you are to your death. Because God has given us this body for us to nurture, for us to create good hormones, for us to make the mechanism of our lives work. Work together with our body. So the more you smile, the better your chances of living long. The happier you are, the better your life, the quality of life that you are going to live. But if you're constantly hungry, if you're constantly in a state of distress, and when you are distressing over somebody else, then you are creating a bigger chance of yourself falling into sickness. You're creating a situation where your body will not be comfortable. You're creating bad hormones for yourself. All in the name of competing with somebody else. So I just sat down and I thought to myself, okay, supposing somebody wants to compete with me, for example, let's take, for example, maybe you wanna become richer than I am. You don't even know how rich I am. That's one. Because you are wearing expensive clothes doesn't mean you are richer than the next person that is not wearing expensive clothes. So how do you compete with somebody in riches? Or do you want to compete with somebody in the state of their relationships? How do you compete with somebody in happiness? Happiness is a state of mind which nobody has control over except the person themselves. Oftentimes, we let our happiness depend on somebody else. Maybe when women are in love or men are in love, they forget their focuses and you let somebody else's presence in your life determine your happiness. You cannot compare with the state of happiness of somebody else. Because that person is in control of what makes them happy. And maybe that person is one person like me. I do not let somebody else's attitude or behavior or act determine my state of happiness, my state of emotions. The only way somebody else can affect my emotions is if I'm in love with you. And I let myself be in love. Because when I'm in love, that means the situation surrounding our relationship is still good enough to make me love you. It was hard work getting there. People that know me, they know I'm a sucker for love. So if I'm in love with you, that means the conditions of our being together still works for me. That's why I'm in love with you. The same way I fall in love with you is the same way I can fall out of you if the conditions changes. If the situation around our relationship changes. I have taken control of my happiness. So how can you compete with me? How can you compete with the state of mind I am in? When you see somebody on Facebook laughing, smiling, enjoying their moments, every minute of their lives, they are happy with their children, with their boyfriends, with their husbands, with their colleagues, or even alone. I have a friend that can create a state of happiness by herself with nobody else's help. She is just constantly in a state of gratitude, and she brings that out being happy. How do you compete with that kind of person if you are a very, very distressed person? If you are a very distressed person, how can you compete with somebody that is constantly happy? That's not possible. So instead of going after what makes them happy, why don't you try to create some kind of happiness for yourself? Look for something that makes you happy. Find yourself. Find what is good for you. And let that come out so that people will see you a different person. There is a particular woman that I do not want to have anything to do with her. Even if this woman cooks the best food that I like, people that are close to me, they know the person. And my thing is, I decide who is in my company. I have the authority. I have taken charge of that part of my life. Nobody decides for me who comes close to me. It doesn't matter what somebody else says about the other person. I let myself be led by my experience with people I deal with. But this person has a negative aura. Every time I'm close to the person, I have this very, very negative aura, around me coming from them. Because they are either frowning at somebody, or she's either making complaints about somebody else, or she's either making negative comments about somebody. Since I have seen and known this person, the only time that she has something good to say is when she's talking about herself. I've never had her say something good about anybody else. And most of the time, she's not even talking good about herself. She's busy complaining about somebody else. Things that does not bother her, should not bother her, that has nothing to do with her. She can complain about somebody's clothing. She can complain about their smell. She can complain about their dancing step. She can complain about their relationship. She complains about other people's children. And one day I thought to myself, what is the essence of hanging out with somebody like this? So anytime I'm outside and I see this person, I make sure I do not go and sit down on the same table with the person. You need to separate yourself from negative people, because these are the kind of people that will be running the race of somebody else's life. They are particular about how somebody else is living their life and what they are doing, instead of focusing on their own lives. Life is not a race. It is a journey. It is a journey that we are supposed to live individually. I cannot live my brother's life. My brother cannot live my life. My sister cannot live my life. I cannot live my sister's life for her. If as an adult, you choose to live your life in a certain way, then you need to stick with it. You need to stick with the consequences of the life you have chosen. It is a journey. It's not about who finishes first. Mind you, who finishes first is going to die first. Hey, sweetie, what's up? Who finishes first is going to die first. So if you're in a race with me or somebody else, then you're probably getting ready to die before the person. And life is just a journey. It's just a journey that you need to enjoy every step of the journey. We were created to enjoy every step along the way. So that when you get to the end of your life, you look back and you say, thank God I lived a beautiful life. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. It's not a competition at all. Everybody got to live their own life. Everybody got to start at a particular time and end at a particular time. But we need to understand that the essence of life is to be blissful. The essence of life is to enjoy every part of it. So every minute, every second that you waste criticizing somebody else, competing with somebody else, is a time you're wasting in your own life. You need to enjoy every process of life, every heartbreak, every relationship, every divorce, every success, every failure is what determines who you are at the end of your life. So be careful how you live the life. Be careful how you spend every minute of your life. If you're going to stay in competition with somebody else, you will not enjoy any part of your life. And life is not supposed to be a competition. You're supposed to live yours, I'm supposed to live mine. At this point, I'm going to want to, round up, because I promised I wasn't going to exceed, 1 hour. The point has been made, and I came to this realization long ago, but it still baffles me that adults, I can imagine children, when children are still growing up and they are like, oh, my friend has this, I want to have that too. My friend is doing this, I want to do that too. A good parent, when you start seeing that your child is very focused on what other people are doing, a good parent should be able to say to that child, life is not a competition, darling. You need to live yours and let them live theirs. Because that is how it starts. But a lot of people were not parented from home. The street taught them. And when you leave your child to learn from the street, they will learn even the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so, at this point, if you have children that are still growing, that can still be saved, because some can no longer be saved, you need to start teaching them now to understand that because your neighbor has something that you do not have, doesn't mean your neighbor is better than you. We need to be humble enough to understand that we are not better than anybody, and we are not lesser. Be proud enough to know that you're not lesser than somebody else, and be humble enough to know you are not better than anybody else. Because life is a journey. It is not a competition. You live your life the way it pleases you. You stay on your lane and let somebody else stay on theirs. No competition in life, guys. It is not a race. If you're raising somebody who is not even raising you, you're probably going to end up finishing before them. And when I mean finishing, that means you're going to die before them, even if they're older than you. So keep in mind, I have said mine, I can only say what I think. Don't forget, it's not a rule, it's not a law, it's not an obligation, it's just me saying it the way I say it. This is another episode of Live on SOBJ. This is another episode of According to SOBJ. Hope to see you in another 2 weeks when I'll be coming with another controversial topic. Please share the video. Let somebody else listen to the words of my mouth. You never know. You might help somebody wake up from that slumber of raising somebody else's life or raising with somebody else. Life, once more, guys, is not a competition. Life is a journey that we as individuals have to live. Live your life and let me live mine. Stay in your lane and let me stay in mine. If we have the same goal and we all end up at the same time, that's fine. If you go ahead and end up before me, that's fine as well. There is nothing wrong in finishing before somebody that is even younger than you, or somebody that is younger than you reaching their goals before you. It is not a must. And it is not that you have to finish before somebody else. In attaining the goals that you have put for yourself, you need to put a time for yourself, not based on the timing of somebody else, but the time that is convenient for you. Your neighbor might be faster in buying a car. Your neighbor might be faster in getting married. Your neighbor might be faster in getting their lives together. It doesn't matter. What is important is the quality of life that you live, not in how fast you get to the point or who gets there first. So please keep in mind, once again, life is a journey. It's not a race. And try to enjoy every step of life. I am. Thanks for joining me and hope to see you some other time. Thank you. Be back in 2 weeks. Have a nice evening and have a nice weekend ahead. Bye, y'all.